All right, guys, here we are, hole number 3 here. Mega tailwind. Ideally, what you'll want to do here is probably hook slice. It will end up with much more rollout on this side than if you just try to go straight and hop this over. So the hook slice is going to add much more topspin, kind of natural topspin, than if you just try to go straight at this. So you can see my opponent here has a Pak 5. I have a Pak 4. Even if he wouldn't have clipped that rough, I probably will outdrive him with going hook slice and considerably outdrive him. So, one of the things that you'll want to try to do here is something along the lines of this. As you can see, I get that wind up to where it's kind of like a 10. And I'm trying to land somewhere up in here. And it should land pretty close to the edge down there. And depending on how many wings you go, that's one full target on top. I'm aiming off of the right of my bullseye. So I'll typically go a couple more rings than that. I'm thinking somewhere right around here. A couple more rings than one full target, aiming off the right of my bullseye. And it looks like mine's just landing long too. So maybe needed to go just 2 more rings there. And as you can see, as a result, it lands just a little bit too much to the right. If I can land that just a little bit more to the left, it would have been perfect. Alternatively, if I could have took off just a touch of power, let's say that wind was a 9.8, I probably would have been covered with what I just landed. It probably would have been perfect. So that's what you're going to want to try to focus on. And, once I get my bearings straight, you'll have to keep in mind, let's say you do have a Pak 5, a Pak 6, you're going to have to take off, or you're going to have to do a power 4 option, maybe like a firework ball or something. You're going to have to start scaling back, even Kingmaker, for instance. Now, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to basically get up to where my ball would have been. So I'm just going to lay up instead of just trying to crank it, because I'm assuming that you guys can take care of the logistics of getting off the tee, and I'll just position it to where we would have been so I can still talk through the shot anyway. Because this is more or less kind of best case scenario. We'll get up here and we'll be able to give ourselves a good opportunity to be able to go for this. Now, one of the things you'll be able to do, especially if you can get this up here far enough, you can actually bring the sniper. Now, I didn't bring the sniper. I didn't know we were getting a straight tailwind on this. So I wanted to make sure that I at least brought as much club as possible. I could have switched my bag in hindsight, but, I was more worried about the tee shot than having to pull off a Cataclysm. But it will be ideal to use a sniper if you can. Will make your life a lot easier. So let's just kind of talk through the shot that I typically try to do in the expert division, especially with the wind that is pointed in this direction. Typically what you'll see that I try to do. Now, one of the things I could do is I could go for a bump here, very similar to what you saw my opponent do. May do that, to be honest with you. But what I like to definitely do, and you'll see if you can create a good angle, we can just kind of go at this kind of with a very safe, just kind of gentle curled shot. So 1.8 per ring, I'm thinking 7-ish rings here just to be on the safe side in this situation. Aside from that, considerable amount of curl. And, if you can get this speed down, you'll see that you kind of give yourself a chance. And you can see I almost have this right on line for a hole out. So just touch more backspin, and maybe that's in. But you can see, if anything, I do let it kind of roll through. This is a very easy pitch from the back of the green here. So there's really no harm at getting back on the back side there. So that's one of the main reasons that you'll see that I stay fairly aggressive. And with the backspin, like I have on that, there's a lot of control with that shot. And that's one of the main reasons that, You know, I've defaulted to that shot in past tournaments. But keep in mind, you know, the rough bump is also going to be a possibility. What you'll see with the rough bump, though, is it always kind of plays just a little bit under. So, you know, you won't need to play that. You won't need to play quite the full ring adjustment. It does end up being just a little bit short. Just see popping this up here, you know, very easy to do. You can do the top spin version of that as well if you like. But, you know, hopefully you're able to get that one. And, you know, worst case scenario, you should be able to secure the eagle just by getting off the tee. So just make sure that you're taking all the necessary steps off the tee to kind of secure that drive. Good luck, and I'll see you on the next hole.